you know, as you said, it's an interesting map, and oftentimes you do see some aggression. But here we are, spawning in the top left. We have our yellow Terran. It is Beastie Cutie.
And his opponent. In the bottom left-hand corner, the red Zerg, Jon Snow. With what looks like a hatch gas opener, sending out that first drone, not doing any of the early six-sling shenanigans like No Regret does. However, maybe he's not doing this, sending out a very early scout. He could throw down a pool and not necessarily mask that pool with this early scout, but just kind of make sure he knows what Beastie QT is doing to execute the scout and the early attack. Looks like, nope, just hatch gas pooling with a very early scout and possibly a block of the natural base.
Yep, doing a little bit of harass there to that SCV, being pretty annoying. But as you said, it's looking like it will probably be hatch gas pool here. There is our gas, yeah.
To say drone versus SCV, the drone will win when they start off on full health because of the regeneration, so it is very important to pull that extra SCV for Beastie QT to push back and at least thwart that first drone. But the drone gets the most information it could possibly ask for, gets in for the scout, doesn't manage to see the gas, but can presume a Reaper fast expand, especially with the Overlord of Jon Snow hanging on about on top of that.
Yeah, and our Reaper coming out pretty soon here. The pool down as well for Jon Snow. Nothing too crazy yet from both players, however, it's still pretty early to tell, especially on this map.
I would not be surprised if we saw that two-base roach play from Jon Snow, something that Bly made very popular. That's still a little bit off into the distance and can very easily punish a Terran player that is neglected.
Yeah, and quite often you do see that two-base roach play on Alrena is a little common. Looks like we are going to have DrennoC drop again. You can do it, DrennoC. You can survive. Though he will probably drop here. Whoa, is he here? No, he is not. He is again left. But the Reaper will arrive now in Jon Snow's base. The Queen's not out yet, but the Zerglings are about to pop. And on creep, they can push back this Reaper pretty quick. Reaper needs to be a bit careful there, though. Ling's trying to get a nice round, but the Reaper control here from Beastie Cutie is pretty good. Zergling speed on the way for Jon Snow. He has pulled his drones out of gas, so we probably won't see a very fast Roach Warren here. We'll still probably see a Roach Warren, just not quicker than normal. We do have a starport now coming out for Beastie Cutie. He's getting a bunker just in case of a crazy little attack from Jon Snow. We are getting a tech lab as well. So pretty normal stuff so far in this game. Reaper getting a little bit more of a scout here, seeing no gases here in the natural. Will manage to get up into the main base. However, there are Zerglings about to pop here as well. And the drones, oh, they try to get a kill on it, but the Reaper does manage to run away. However, the Queen does take it out. But that was a pretty good scout from Beastie Cutie. He did see that gas wasn't mining. So he can kind of assume what's going on right now. He can kind of assume that he is in no immediate danger. We do have tanks coming out, medevacs coming out for Beastie Cutie now. And Jon Snow taking a third base, but behind this doing some attacks. He is sending a lot of Zerglings on the way. Beastie Cutie still doesn't have too much here. He has one bunker, but it goes down pretty quick. He has a tank situated on the high ground. The Zerglings, though, moving around it. A lot of mining delayed here at the natural base. However, now that the medevac is out, the tank is much more mobile. And it looks like these lings will be held back for now. Some mining time lost here, some SCVs lost here for Beastie Cutie, but he held. Now we do have a Roach Warren to follow this up from Jon Snow. But the tank, it is being lifted across the map. Where will this land? The creep tumor will probably see this tank here. It's getting situated though. Nice little pickup. Even if your tank can't get too much done, you can always just pick it up and return home. Roach Warren now finished for Jon Snow. We have 2 more barracks coming out as well for Beastie Cutie. And 4 roaches and a lair on the way. 2 tanks lifted up. Looks like they might just be trying to find a better position, or will they be moving across the map? Looks like they are actually moving across the map here. A few Marines looking like they want to join as well. Tanks landing at the tower, making sure they kill the scout over there. And some Marines joining this tank force. These tanks will manage to kill some of these creep tumors. However, there are Ravagers now for Jon Snow, which should help to really clear this up. Ravagers are going... The Biles will land on the medevacs. The tanks picked up just in time there. Now Beastie Cutie's tanks forced back home for now. More roaches starting to pop out though for Jon Snow. The lair has finished as well. Jon Snow now on 3 bases. Probably feeling pretty confident. We do have roach speed as well on the way. Not surprising there, as we have many roaches on the field. Looks like Jon Snow heading right towards those rocks. Or was, but not anymore. We've got Lynx just looking around, seeing if there's anything here at the 3rd. Stim just now started for Beastie Cutie, as well as Combat Shield. And now it looks like the tanks lifted up, wanting to do some more damage here. Just some harass if at all possible. Even clearing that creep is pretty nice. Tanks getting situated here on the high ground. However, the Ravagers putting down their Biles force these tanks to be lifted up again. I do like this tank harass though from Beastie Cutie. He's doing a very good job at taking these tanks away from danger and yet doing some annoying harass with them as well. However, it is now 7:20 and our Terran player still does not have a 3rd base. Jon Snow really looking for it too. He's got a little bit set up, but needs to be careful. These Biles really trying to corner these tanks. Tanks will manage to take down a queen and a couple drones, but Jon Snow really on trying to take care of these tanks. The medevacs boost on out of there. They want to make sure that these tanks stay very safe. But behind this, Beastie Cutie has a pretty nice army. Got Marine, Marauder, he's got a few tanks. Just needs to be pretty careful with these siege tanks, which he is doing a great job of making sure these stay safe. Even while these Ravagers are doing their best to take them down. Beastie Cutie, though, sending out a couple Marines, looking like he is actually going to move out now. Seeing as there is no 3rd base behind this, this is probably pretty all-in from our Terran player. Jon Snow, though, also has a pretty strong army. The army supplies here just barely favoring Jon Snow, 105 to 86. The tanks starting to get into position. The Marines, they stim forward. But the Biles, they will land on the tanks. The tanks are going to be taken out pretty quick. There's still 2 more behind this army, but fighting here on the bridge can be pretty terrifying. Looks like Beastie Cutie moving back a little bit. More army could be joining him here, and he might be going for the rocks instead. Looks like he will indeed go to break down those rocks. Infestors now also on the way for Jon Snow, so a nice fungal could keep the army in place, and that army being in place makes them very vulnerable to bile. A nice little combination I have seen from Zerg players before. Always kind of has me a bit excited when I see it again. It's like Beastie Cutie, though, getting that high ground vision, wants to get into the best possible position he can. The army, though, nicely spread out for Beastie Cutie. There's just so much here for Jon Snow. Jon Snow getting a lovely concave here and taking down a lot of these tanks. A couple get picked off, barely surviving. But behind this, a drop from Beastie Cutie will probably go to the main. However, actually, Jon Snow doesn't really see this coming. This could pull back his army a bit. In fact, it could do quite a bit of damage as the army is completely out of position right now. A nice multi-pronged attack here from Beastie Cutie will get a bit of damage done as the Marines start to run into the to the main base and will take down that infestation pit. But Jon Snow's army is returning to try and save what he can. The medevacs will get away. But behind this, there's still no third base for our Terran player. Jon Snow getting his fourth base, really macroing up here. Beastie Cutie needs to kill his Zerg opponent soon. Beastie Cutie, though, getting his army back together. He's got a couple liberators this time. Is dropping units down. He has gotten that third base now at the gold base. It's not too often that I see this taken, so it is pretty cool.
Our forces are under attack.
The question is, will Jon Snow see it? He will not see it with this Overseer, as the Overseer will get picked off here pretty soon. But now it looks like Jon Snow moving across the map to try and take down his Terran opponent now. Lot being lifted off here in these medevacs. Where will it go? Looks like it is going to head over to the natural, maybe to the main or natural here. Scan goes down, showing the army, shows where to get into position. Liberators, they try to set down their liberation zones, but one does get picked off by the Ravagers. Beastie Cutie, I think it's a pretty wise idea to take that gold base, considering he hadn't had a third base for a while, and this could be what he needs to really get going in this game. Right now, Jon Snow has been doing a really good job in shutting down a lot of his opponent's attacks. We've still got more Liberators on the way here. But Beastie Cutie goes right into the main base. Takes out quite a bit of units here. We do have some Dropper Lords. Might be useful for that gold base later, but for right now, Jon Snow focusing on this attack in the main. Is able to take down one tank. But this is a really nice concave here for Jon Snow. And now Fungals go down as well, making sure that this army goes nowhere. And nice Biles on top of that fungled army. These Dropper Lords, though, they are very close to that gold base. If Jon Snow knows that is there, he could really punish it. Nice little Marine hit squad, though, down at the fourth base. Will take out a lot of drones. Delay as much mining as possible here for Jon Snow. But, the Overlords, they know that this base is here. They land their army to take out these SCVs. Liberators are getting into position, though, to try and save them. Looks like the small Marine squad will get spotted there. The Liberators, they're attacking the Overlords that are loaded up. I think they will be able to drop at least some of the army, though. It's going to be close. And they might actually... One full Overlord goes down. The other one does manage to unload the rest of the army. Jon Snow, though, trying to get into a good position here. Beastie Cutie, though, landing his fourth base. As a Zerg player, you don't really want to be on the equal number of bases as your opponent, so Jon Snow probably going to want to do something about that very soon. And Beastie Cutie actually has done a great job in coming back in this game. For a while he was on 2 bases, but is now on 4, has taken a gold base, is really starting to turn this around. However, there is a hive now being more for Jon Snow. And 4 more infestors coming out. These infestors can really turn an engagement around. Both players, though, just getting their army situated. Jon Snow just taking out what he can see there on his creep. Looks like we may have another drop here for Beastie Cutie. Scanning around, seeing what his opponent has, maybe deciding against it. Now Liberator's getting into position at the 4th base. Will do quite a bit of damage as there is not a lot of anti-air in that area just yet. And it looks like a drop also getting in position at the main base. However, Jon Snow definitely ready for this one. Very nice fungals go off, and the bile with that will just completely shut down this drop. And the Liberators now being taken out by the Ravagers. So right now, Jon Snow actually still looking pretty strong. 124 army supply to 87. So he is definitely still quite ahead in this game. One Liberator, though, does manage to survive, but it looks like Jon Snow may be considering moving forward here soon. It's getting near max supply. And a nice drop of roaches with the gold base also denies a little bit of mining. But now Jon Snow moving across the map, like he is going to go for either the 4th or the 5th base there. Will be going for the 4th base. Getting a very nice run as his opponent. Very, very good fungals from our Zerg player. Able to take out that Liberator and move forward up into the natural. Is going to take down those tanks with those Ravagers. And again, very nice fungals prevent this army from moving and therefore make it so they cannot dodge those biles. Jon Snow continues to move into the base of Beastie Cutie. Things are looking pretty scary now as the Zerg player is just basically starting to get around his tech. The Ultra Den behind this also for Jon Snow is pretty worrying for Beastie Cutie. The Zerg army does take over here, and Beastie Cutie gives the GG. Jon Snow takes game 2. Jon Snow really showing his skill here at PvT, doing a great job in that pretty long-winded game, especially for Olrena. But you can tell Jon Snow can really, really do a great job there in a macro game. Interesting builds from both players. Was looking pretty 2-base all in there also for Beastie Cutie for a while, but he did take that gold base, which was very risky, but really did pay off in the end too. All right. We will be having a short break though before our next series, but stick around as we will get everything figured out pretty soon here.